Stop for a second and think, how many decisions in your life have you made not because they felt right, but because you were afraid of what others might think? What if I told you that every second you care about their opinions, you're giving away your freedom? And today, we're going to take it back. Every single person on this planet, at some point in their life, has faced that invisible, suffocating pressure to be someone they are not. That pressure comes from the expectations of family, friends, colleagues, and society at large. It comes from the subtle judgments, the raised eyebrows, the whispered comments, and the glaring stares. And somewhere along the way, many of us start to believe that these external opinions are the true measure of who we are. We begin to define ourselves based on what others think about us rather than what we truly know about ourselves. But here's the truth. The moment you understand that your self-worth is determined by your values, not by the opinions of others, everything changes. Think about it for a second. Every person has a unique set of experiences, beliefs, and principles that guide their decisions and shape their character. These are the things that define you at the deepest level. Your honesty, your integrity, your commitment to what you believe in. These are not determined by someone else's judgment. And yet, so many people allow themselves to be tossed around like a leaf in the wind because they are desperate for validation from the wrong sources. They post on social media not to share their joy, but to get likes. They make choices in their careers, their relationships, and their lifestyles not because it aligns with their values, but because they are afraid of criticism. And the irony is that no amount of external approval will ever fill the void created by ignoring your own truth. When you anchor your self-worth in your values, you begin to operate from a place of internal strength rather than external approval. It's like standing on solid ground in the middle of a storm. Opinions will come and they will go, but your foundation remains steady because it is built on what you know to be right, what you know to be true, and what you know you are capable of. This doesn't mean that you will never face criticism or judgment. In fact, when you start living authentically, you will likely face more opposition because people are uncomfortable with someone who is unapologetically themselves. But instead of seeing that as a threat, you begin to understand that it's merely a reflection of their own insecurities, biases, and limitations. Their opinions are theirs, not yours. One of the most powerful shifts in mindset comes when you start to recognize the difference between constructive feedback and judgment born from ignorance or malice. Constructive feedback, even if uncomfortable, is aimed at helping you grow. It is aligned with truth and improvement. Judgment, on the other hand, is often based on assumptions, envy, or a lack of understanding. When you know your values, you can discern between these two. You can take what serves you and discard what doesn't. And in doing so, you reclaim the power that many people unknowingly hand over to others every day. Living by your values also means learning to say no to situations, people, and pressures that do not align with your principles. It means having the courage to stand alone if necessary, to make choices that feel right to you even if they are unpopular, and to prioritize your integrity over your image. Every time you make a decision rooted in your values, rather than in the fear of judgment, you reinforce a powerful truth. Your self-worth is self-determined. You are the gatekeeper of your own life, and the opinions of others are simply visitors. They do not own your reality. The journey to valuing your own principles over external opinions is not always easy. There will be moments of doubt, moments where the voices of others seem louder than your own. You may feel lonely, misunderstood, or even attacked. But those moments are tests, opportunities to strengthen your internal compass. The more you practice anchoring yourself in your values, the less sway outside opinions will have. You will begin to notice that decisions that once caused anxiety or hesitation now feel natural and empowering. You will experience a freedom that can only come from living in alignment with your authentic self, and that freedom is priceless. Consider the people you admire most in the world, the ones who inspire you, who achieve extraordinary things, who leave a legacy. What do they have in common? Rarely, if ever, is it that they sought the approval of everyone around them. What sets them apart is their unwavering commitment to their values, their refusal to compromise their integrity, and their relentless pursuit of their own vision of success and fulfillment. Their self-worth comes from knowing who they are and living according to what they believe in, not from tallying up likes, accolades, or praise. They are free because they have anchored themselves in their principles. And that freedom is what allows them to achieve, to create, and to inspire. And here's the empowering part: you can do this too. You can start today, in this very moment, by identifying what truly matters to you. What principles do you refuse to compromise on? What truths define your character? What vision do you have for your life that is uniquely yours? Once you have clarity on these things, the opinions of others lose their power. You stop chasing validation because you already have it from yourself. You stop bending to fit molds that were never meant for you. You stop apologizing for existing the way you were designed to exist. Your self-worth becomes untouchable because it is internal. It is not fragile, nor is it dependent on circumstances. People may try to diminish you, misunderstand you, or criticize you, but they cannot shake the foundation that you have built on your values. And as you continue to live in alignment with what you know to be true, you will notice a remarkable transformation. Your confidence will grow, your relationships will improve, your decisions will become clearer, and your sense of purpose will deepen. The energy that was once wasted worrying about judgment is now redirected toward growth, achievement, and fulfillment. You are no longer a prisoner of other people's opinions. You are the architect of your own life, guided by the compass of your values, and empowered by the knowledge that your worth is inherent, unwavering, and fully yours. Freedom is not something that is given to you by the world. It is not handed over with a certificate, nor does it come with applause or recognition. True freedom is a state of mind, a way of being, and it begins the moment you stop living for the approval of others. From the moment you stop bending, conforming, and performing to meet the expectations of people who do not truly know you, you start to reclaim a part of yourself that has been buried under years of trying to fit in, to please, and to avoid conflict. Every time you make a decision based on fear of judgment or desire for validation, you trade a piece of your freedom for a temporary sense of acceptance. And the sad truth is that acceptance bought this way is never enough. You will always feel like something is missing because you are betraying your own truth. Imagine living a life where your choices are guided by what you genuinely want, what you truly believe, and what feels right in your soul, instead of what others think you should do. Imagine waking up every morning free from the burden of explaining yourself, defending your decisions, or worrying about whether you are liked, approved of, or respected by people who do not define your worth. That life is not a fantasy. It is a possibility for anyone willing to take the courageous step of honoring their own truth. The process begins with a simple but powerful realization: you cannot control the opinions of others, but you can control your actions, your beliefs, and your response to judgment. When you stop seeking approval, a remarkable shift occurs. You begin to notice the energy you were wasting on trying to fit into boxes that were never meant for you. That energy, once drained by anxiety, worry, and second guessing, is now available for your growth, your creativity, and your fulfillment. You start making choices that resonate with your inner self, not because they are popular or socially acceptable, but because they feel authentic. You start saying no to things, people, and situations that do not align with your values. You stop apologizing for being who you are and start celebrating your individuality. This is freedom, the liberation from the invisible chains of external validation. Honoring your own truth requires courage because the world is quick to resist authenticity. People may question your choices, ridicule your actions, or try to pressure you back into conformity. And that is where the real challenge lies. Can you stand firm in your truth, even when it is uncomfortable, even when it feels lonely, and even when others try to pull you away from it? The answer is yes, because every act of authenticity strengthens the foundation of your freedom. Every choice that aligns with your inner self, every boundary you uphold, every decision made from your own wisdom rather than external influence, builds a life that is yours and yours alone. Consider the most inspiring people you know, the ones who walk into a room and radiate confidence, the ones who pursue their vision with relentless determination, the ones who seem unshakable in the face of criticism. What they have in common is not that they have never been judged or misunderstood. It is that they refused to let those judgments define them. They chose to honor their truth, to act in alignment with their values, and to focus on what mattered most to them rather than what others expected of them. And in doing so, they discovered a freedom that is profound, unwavering, and deeply empowering. Honoring your truth also changes the way you experience relationships. When you are no longer seeking approval, you begin to attract people who appreciate you for who you really are. You stop trying to impress, manipulate, or perform for others. The connections you form become genuine, not transactional. You no longer measure love, respect, or friendship by the willingness of others to approve of you, because your self-worth is no longer dependent on their opinions. This shift allows you to experience deeper, more meaningful interactions, where mutual respect, authenticity, and alignment of values become the guiding principles rather than social validation or superficial acceptance. The journey to freedom through honoring your truth is gradual, but it is transformative. It begins with awareness, recognizing where you are giving away your power by seeking approval. It continues with courage, making conscious choices that reflect your authentic self even when it is uncomfortable. And it flourishes in consistency, repeating these choices until they become second nature, until living authentically becomes the default rather than the exception. Along the way, you will encounter challenges, doubts, and setbacks. But each obstacle is an opportunity to reinforce your commitment to yourself. Each time you choose your truth over approval, you strengthen your internal compass and expand the boundaries of your freedom. When you live in alignment with your truth, your life transforms in ways that are often unexpected. You discover clarity in decision-making because you no longer have to filter every choice through the lens of others' opinions. You discover confidence because your self-worth is rooted in authenticity rather than validation. You discover peace because you are no longer fighting an internal battle between who you are and who you think others want you to be. And perhaps most importantly, you discover joy, a joy that comes from being fully, unapologetically yourself and living a life that is not borrowed, or performed, but wholly and completely your own. Freedom is not about escaping responsibilities, avoiding conflict, or ignoring the world around you. It is about reclaiming the power to live your life according to your principles and values. It is about understanding that seeking approval is a trap that keeps you small, while honoring your truth is the key that unlocks your potential. It is about stepping into a life where your choices are guided by integrity, courage, and authenticity rather than fear of judgment. And once you embrace this freedom, once you commit to living authentically every single day, you will experience a transformation so profound that you will never look back.